You've got yourself a stone seal. Maybe it's Chinese, maybe it's Japanese. You want to use it with your artwork, or just you want to use it for fun. So how do we do that? Well, we obviously need something to print it on, some paper, and we need some ink. It's a very thick, sort of oily paste, and it's made of 3 prime ingredients. The red colour comes from cinnabar, which is mercury sulfide. It's mixed with a binder, which is an oily binder. That might be something like castor oil, sesame oil, hemp seed oil, and that's been boiled to make it super sticky. And then there are some fibres in there. It might be silk fibres or mugwort fibres. And that stops the ink clumping, but it forms this paste. And because it is mercury sulfide, potentially, some modern ones use artificial sort of vermilion, so that's fine. But anyway, just treat it with some respect and don't lick your fingers. So that's the traditional ink. And of course, something you're probably more familiar with is just an ink pad. If you're using an ink pad, do check what sort of ink's in there. Is it waterproof, or is it water soluble? Is it light fast, or will it fade with light? Again, traditionally you would be using the seal on rice paper, and rice paper is flat and quite thin, as you can see, and it's designed to work with these stone seals. But an awful lot of artists want to stamp their watercolour paper, and watercolour paper is a lot thicker, as you can see, and it often has texture, and that will interfere with the printing of the stamp. There are a few things we can do, but why don't we just try first, and I'll show you how you should load up your stamp. So make sure you know which way is up. I mean, this is a hand carved one, but if you might have a decorative knob on the end or something which will tell you which way it goes up. I know from these little marks here that almost look like spectacles, those go at the top. So ink your corners first, just move your seal around. I find it easier to squidge the ink up so you can ink the corners, and then on that little mound of ink you've got there, ink the middle, and that should be fully covered. Again, just double check it's the right way up, and then place down on the surface and give it a very firm push. When you take it off, don't pull it straight up because rice paper is delicate and that could rip it. Sort of edge it off and you've got your print. Let's just repeat that. Corner, 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 middle. Check which way it's up. Nice firm pressure. Don't need to worry about ripping this paper, but just get into habit and we pull it off. And you can see, if we just compare that one and that one, that the texture of the watercolour paper has interfered with this. Of course it has. So what can we do? Maybe this more liquid Western sort of ink might actually be better. Let's try it. So I'm going to wipe this off properly because this is an oil-based ink and that might repel a water-based ink. So let's make sure that's all clean. Inking that up, I'm going to go on the rice paper first. This ink isn't as sticky, so there's a lot less chance of it actually ripping the paper. And there, I mean, at a glance, you would actually be hard pressed to tell which is which. If you look closely, the colour is slightly different, but it has printed pretty much the same. Now, we'll ink that up. Let's see if that's any better on our watercolour paper. So I'm giving it time to get in. Maybe just a little bit better actually on the watercolour paper. You just see down here, that's a lot more solid, still a little bit broken down here. So if you're struggling to print with this seal, consider using a a more liquid ink. What else could we do? Rather than working on a hard flat surface, this is just a silicone mat, we could see if maybe something with a bit more give under it would help with the print. Just see if a slightly more, say, forgiving surface helps. So I do think that is slightly darker, just on the sort of softer surface, because it allows the paper to have a bit of give and therefore get a really good contact. So that's fine on the rice paper. Let's see on our watercolour paper. Now I'm giving that a good slight sort of side to side wiggle. And that hasn't really made any difference, has it? That's a bit disappointing. I was really hoping that was going to help. Just wondering what else. I've got a little cloth. Look. Give that a really good press. If you're really struggling to print and you need to print on watercolour paper, something a bit more soft and giving, try Western ink, and that may give you a better print. This is a handmade eraser stamp, so I've just carved my name in Japanese in an eraser. If you want to see how to do that, I've got a little video. Let's ink it up, make sure that's covered, and let's give that a print. And what I want to show you is how, when you've got a solid area, it breaks up on the watercolour paper. That's down to the texture, and there is absolutely no way around that. And let's just compare on the rice paper. Can you see that background is so much more solid? So the design of your stamp, if you have a choice, I would avoid big flat areas of colour if you're going to print onto watercolour paper. Or, of course, you can simply say, do you know what? It's hand stamped. That's part of the charm. And if it's not perfect, I'm going to live with it. In Japanese, there's a concept of wabi-sabi, which is finding beauty in the imperfections of life. So you could embrace a little wabi-sabi and just say, that's how it is.